How did the Nazis destroy our view of masculinity and why, thankfully, that's now changing? So that's what we're going to look at today. First of all, I'm not saying mid-20th century Germans. I'm not saying Moustache Man. This video is demonetized. It's just ridiculous. Let's get on with it. Actually, that's a fairly interesting starting point. Why do I feel a bit nervous making this video? Why does YouTube have these strong taboos about the Nazis and to the point of, you know, you can get your channel taken down, you're definitely going to be demonetized, etc. Where it doesn't around, say, Mao, Stalin, or Genghis Khan, other people, if we go back in history, the Aztecs, all the murdering they did. It doesn't have those kind of taboos elsewhere. It points to something which is there's a unique place in modern psychology for the Nazis. So the Nazis define what is bad. They're the bad guys. So we have a founding myth of our culture, sometimes called the post-World War II consensus. We all grew up with this. Anyone watching this video, if you're alive now, grew up with this as our founding mythos. So every culture has its mythos. Often there's some kind of founding myth, some kind of story of good versus evil, you know, back to Gilgamesh or whoever. We see this in media like Star Wars or whatever. Our myth was always, I say was because it's changing, that there was this event and there was the good guys and we're the good guys and there was the bad guys. And not only were they bad guys, they were 100% evil. What we miss out, of course, is that the good guys are never 100% good, the bad guys are never 100% bad, and just look, notice what happens now. Notice what happens. It's like, oh, people are getting angry already. I've been to Auschwitz. I've been to Yad Vashem in Israel, okay? I'm aware of the evils of the Nazis. My family fought the Nazis, one of them on D-Day. I do not like the Nazis, okay? Notice how I almost have to say that, though, as a disclaimer. And you'll see in every video which discusses this, people say, well, of course the Nazis were evil. Of course they were the bad guys. It's sort of an act of faith. You'll also see this with the fighting over, like, it's the name calling online, right? You're the Nazi. No, you're the Nazi. One of the things that most got me in trouble as a social media post, I said, this activist is the Nazi. That's the name we throw around. It's worse than Satan, yeah? Jonathan Peugeot, much smarter man than me, looks at mythology, symbolism in the biggest sense, and he points out that Hitler is worse than Satan in our current mythology. That's not sustainable. So if we think of Satan as the ultimate evil, we can say Hitler, very bad man, did lots of things, you know, lots of things I disagree with. But is he the ultimate evil? No. Notice how it's almost taboo to say that, right? He's not the worst person who ever existed. And there's all sorts of other things that follow from that, like racism is the worst sin, yeah? And so, well, hang on a minute, I don't like racism, but is there things that are worse? I can think of things that are worse. I can think of, you know, certainly racism can be like jokes between friends, a bit racist and a bit unpleasant maybe, but not the worst thing in the world compared to like hurting children in evil ways or something. You say, yeah, but racism could lead to genocide and hurting children. Yeah, okay, but that's further down the line, right? All right, back to our topic, masculinity. So if we think of it, we could think of it as the Nazis were hyper-masculine groups. Masculine virtues were taking to an unhealthy extreme, bit of understatement there. So now we don't have an opposite pole. So it's, if you think of virtue in an Aristotelian sense as being sort of a golden middle, right? You could be hyper-masculine or you could be not masculine at all. So what World War II did was say this hyper-masculine group, that is what's evil. The hyper-boundaried would be another way of saying it. Certainly, you know, this is the one true race, the master race, and the nation above all, hyper-nationalist, hyper-masculine, hyper-military, sort of Nietzschean in that philosophical sense. Will to power, power is what matters, will above all. That created a huge shadow. Yeah, so psychologically, if we say one side of things is evil, but we don't have a corresponding. So in World War II, we were actually, politically, the correspondence, the sort of balancing side would have been the Stalinists and Maoists, but we were friends with them, right? They were our allies at the time. So the Maoists were fighting the Japanese. Stalin, of course, he did a lot, you know, the Russians, the Soviets did a lot of the fighting. If we look at 20 million dead, I think it was, we were supplying them with equipment, you know, particularly from the States, from information from the UK. So we sort of had to make friends with the other devil. Right? So two devils, both very evil, both did lots of bad things. So what this meant was we defined the masculine pole, the boundary pole, not the communal pole. Yeah, so this is symbolic. This is symbolic. There's a lot of unconscious stuff. It's not really there explicitly, let's say. It's just coming out through art and culture. So the masculine is bad, the ultra-national is bad, the boundaried is bad. And it's not quite as simple as this, but certainly the left wasn't demonized, right? And the left is often defined by openness rather than boundaries, yeah? The love of the foreigner, the sort of openness to what is different, what is the exception. Now, whether this was the case in Stalinist Russia, probably not, right? So it doesn't equate fully in that sense, but symbolically, the feminine. And you'll even see the Nazis had the fatherland, the Soviets had the motherland. So there's this sort of masculine, feminine, yin-yang pole, even if in reality it's not quite that straightforward. So what did that mean? That meant that culture would always lean away from the Nazis, right? And at first it was like, if I spoke to my granddad, he'd say, of course it's bad to be a Nazi. You shouldn't, wipe out ethnic groups of people. You shouldn't invade other countries. He would say that was bad. But then gradually the standard for what was and wasn't a Nazi got shifted more and more towards the feminine, yeah? So culture as a whole, until very recently, and I'll come to this, has shifted more and more feminine, less and less boundaried. So to the point as like now we're having arguments about whether countries can even have national borders, not that they're aggressively defending them, expanding those borders, yeah? So it's the wall, Trump's wall was very symbolic, love him or hate him, because it was a boundary. Okay, even the boundaries of what is a man and a woman, any kind of distinction is seen almost as prejudice and discrimination. Any kind of standards at all, any kind of aesthetics. Who are you to say that, obese people aren't attractive? The Nazis had a very clear aesthetic, right? So it's the good, the true, and the beautiful all got taken out by this, by saying this one pole. So an overemphasis perhaps on a certain kind of beauty. So now it's just ugliness. An overemphasis on this is definitely the case, like a fundamentalism. So now it's postmodernism. Nothing's the case. And goodness, to say this is definitely right or wrong. So now there's no right or wrong. There's a bit more to it than this, because there's also sort of Wilberian lens, like Ken Wilber lens of sort of how we evolve over societies and different stages of development societies go through. But a very, very key thing here is that the Nazis defined what was evil. The Nazis were hyper-masculine. Therefore, anything masculine is bad. So now it's, caring for your country is Nazi. Any kind of, the British government actually just defined terrorism as like having a concern for one's people. You can look it up, I forget the exact language, but it was like, whoa, this incredibly liberal definition of anyone who has an interest in sort of their extended family, let's say. There's been a bunch of articles about like weightlifting and fitness is Nazi. That's far right. So everything is far right because there's no model in this sort of unconscious cultural psychological model of the healthy right, the healthy boundary, the healthy masculine. These things don't correlate 100%, but they're all correlated. They're all sort of connected, yeah? So in this point, we're now saying anything masculine is bad, anything boundary is bad, any kind of affiliation with nation is bad, any affiliation with extended family or nation is bad. That's not sustainable. So what has happened is culture has drifted to more and more unboundaried, more and more feminine, more and more liberal, if you prefer. Economically, things can be very right-wing. So this is again where it breaks down. We could, this could have sort of Thatcherite neoliberal economics, but this liberal culture, and what that has meant is just crazy. We haven't defined the anti-Hitler. We haven't defined the evil on the other side. We haven't said, you know what, the Maoists or, were also very evil, and they did very evil things in the name of collectivism, for example. We haven't said, you know what, nationalism can go too far, but maybe there's a healthy sense of country. Maybe the English get to exist as a group of people. Maybe we can have our country back, Glastonbury. Maybe it's all right to have a sense of strength. We don't have to be super Nietzschean and domination about it. What has this produced? Well, it's produced on the one hand the sort of counter shadow, the stereotyped ultra-masculine, the cold shower taking, weightlifting bro, the Andrew Tates. There's some positive versions of this, like the Joe Rogans or whatever, that I think are pretty healthy still. But there's some definitely, you look at someone like Jocko, very extreme. Don't hate the guy, says some good stuff, but very extreme in his philosophy. Most of us aren't going to be a Navy SEAL, let's be honest, These very extreme masculine types are very controversial comedians, Navy SEALs, kickboxers. This is a ultra warrior, ultra masculine, ultra yang archetype. I can't live up to that stuff, and I'm a martial arts black belt who lifts weights. It's a bit extreme. So now we have this sort of feminine modern culture where, frankly, the average person today would be utterly comical to our grandparents. So my grandparents who fought in World War II, I think if they saw the average young guy in East London or Brooklyn or Berlin, they would be both disgusted, horrified, and also find it comical. Now, we can actually measure this in terms of testosterone levels. I think our testosterone levels, what are they, a quarter of what they were during World War II? So it's literally, there's a chemical decline. Look at, say, Ruegg Nationalist. I interviewed him. There's a sort of physiological chemical decline. But the politics there is we've allowed that. Right? If there was stuff in the water and the food that was quadrupling our testosterone, there would be people doing something about it pretty quickly, right? So it doesn't have to be conspiratorial. You could just say this has been allowed. So there's a physiological change. There's a cultural shift in what isn't allowable. And there's definitely a psychological shift. And on one end of the spectrum is a certain kind of madness, right? So there's a certain kind of madness to being uber Nazi, Nietzschean, sort of in-group preferences at the state of everything else, constantly striving. You'll see this still in sort of some aspects of like type A, hardcore athletes or hardcore corporate types. It's very unhealthy psychologically. These people tend to have heart attacks. These people tend to be not nice people and not well. Yeah, so it still exists in islands, but mostly we see the other side. The unhealthy, the lack of boundaries, the lack of fierceness, the lack of any kind of potency, the lack of any kind of masculinity. Yeah? So masculinity has been utterly destroyed by defining evil in a particular way and defining it as subtly masculine. So we've shifted more and more and more to the feminine in ways that are now profoundly unhealthy. The unboundaried nation, the unboundaried psychology, the unboundaried, look at the rainbow flag where they keep adding more and more stuff to it. It's the symbol of lack of boundaries, yeah? It's that we celebrate a month of poor boundaries, essentially. It's to the point where people are no longer reproductive, to the point where the sort of feminine values just turn evil, essentially. So we define one evil, not the other evil. But the good news is we're now seeing that other evil. It's got to the point where it's kind of ridiculous. The average person now looks at, say, the Pride Parade and goes, I want gay people to love each other, that's fine. We don't want to put them in camps or anything, but this looks a bit degenerate. This feels off. I think the average person has gone, something feels off. Yeah, the level of mass migration, for example, just feels off to normal people. There are economic interests trying to keep it in place, of course. But the average person's going, this isn't right. I go to Poland, it feels nice. I go to Croatia, it feels safe. Lowest crime in Europe, by the way, just around the corner. It feels wholesome, and then I go to Berlin, or I go to Brussels, or I go to Amsterdam, and it feels dangerous. It is dangerous statistically. It doesn't feel cohesive. I'm dysregulated by this diversity that people are telling me is my strength, but it doesn't feel like it's my strength anymore. I'm not a Nazi, I'm not a racist, I'm not, no, so you can go straight to that, right? Like, Mark's a Nazi, Mark's a Nazi. No, I'm not, definitely not. Where's the balance? Okay, where's the model of evil that balances the evil of Hitler? Where's the assimilation? Why do we think about Hitler in ways that is completely unique compared to Genghis Khan, who, for example, I think killed just as many people, if not more? Why is that historical? Even someone like Napoleon, who also killed a lot of people, people might even admire them. People might say, well, he did some bad things, but he also had a lot of strength and will, and we see the positives there. Is it time we left this World War II consensus behind? I think it's already happening. I think the young people don't feel the same way about it. I see comedians, for example, making jokes about it. Peugeot points out that various artists will do things. He points out Kanye West, who's this barometer for the cultural edge in kind of a crazy, weird way. That people are understanding that there's a reintegration needed. A psychodynamic psychologist might say we need to reintegrate our inner fascist, right? We need to... and you see this shadow. I've been around left-wing activists, and they've got this like awful, controlling, authoritarian kind of fascist side that just comes out. They'll be fascist about not being fascist. The old punch a Nazi meme. Like, they clearly haven't integrated psychologically that side of themselves. I think our culture, though, is starting to. I think young people are tired of evil being defined in a particular way. I think as the World War II generation passes away, I think there's only very few old people left that can remember that. We may move on, we may integrate, and I'm an optimist in this sense. I think culture can get healthier. It's starting to look a bit tired. It's starting to feel forced. Masculinity is starting to re-emerge in many ways. I think this is an incredibly positive thing. I think there's a danger in people could swing, right? Young men, for example, could go, well, in order to become masculine, I have to lift all the weights and be a total bro and be a Navy SEAL and sort of go far too much to the hyper-masculine side again. Politically, I think there's dangers there for societies. There was a huge rally in Croatia recently, which was certainly, if not fascist, certainly had leanings that way. I don't know all the individuals involved, but that's what I'm told by some locals here in Slovenia, because there is a history of actual genocide and actual Nazis in Croatian history. People have fears around that, which I think are not unfounded. So I think there's issues of swing back. I think young men diving into this are a danger, but I think in some ways, compared to what the bigger danger actually is not some incel right-wing influences. The paranoia around that is almost comical at this point. The bigger danger has already happened. The bigger danger is the feminization, the lack of boundaries, the lack of borders, and I'm very pleased that it now seems like we're moving on for that. This is delicate territory. I'm sure this has been monetized. Maybe it'll get me cancelled. Let's hope not. Let's leave it there.